big milestone events that happened throughout his life. We're also going to hear what his name means. Where did that name Moses come from? And maybe you'll think about your own name, that name your parents gave you, and the significance behind your own name. Before we get into our story, let's take a look at our liturgical calendar. Let's see where we are in our church year. You can see we're getting so much closer to Advent. We're still in the great green growing time, but we are 1 week closer to Advent, that time of getting ready for Christmas. Take a deep breath with me. Get your heart ready, your mind ready, and your ears ready. Now let's do some listening to the story of Moses and then wonder out loud together. There were many people of God in Egypt, and this new Pharaoh was worried that these people of God would take away his power and his kingdom. So he ordered that all baby boys were to be killed. Now there was one mother who took her baby and she hid him in a basket that she made from the bulrushes. And then she covered it with reeds and laid it by the river Nile. The daughter of the Pharaoh found the baby and took him to the palace and raised him there. She named the baby Moses, which means to draw out. Moses was drawn out of the reeds, and later he would draw the people out of Egypt and save them. Now, when Moses was a young man, he saw one of the Egyptians beating one of the people of God, and he grew angry, and Moses killed him. Then he ran away to the desert. Moses stayed with the family of Jethro. He married Zipporah, one of Jethro's daughters, and he became a shepherd, and he lived there with them for 40 years. One day, while Moses was taking care of Jethro's sheep, he took them to the mountain of God, Mount Horeb, which is also called Mount Sinai. Suddenly he saw a bush that was burning but did not burn up. God spoke to Moses from that burning bush, and God told Moses that the cries of the people of God had been heard. Moses was to go and set the people free. But Moses said, "Who am I to do such a thing?" God said, "I'll be with you." And Moses said, "What is your name?" And God answered, "I am Yahweh. I am who I am." Moses asked, "Can't you send someone else?" And God said, "I will send your brother Aaron, and he will speak for you." So Moses went back to Egypt, and he asked the Pharaoh, "Please let the people go." And many times the Pharaoh said no. And Moses asked again, and the Pharaoh said no. Finally, the Pharaoh said yes. Moses, with God's help, led the people through the water to freedom. Moses led the people through the desert for 40 years. The people of God grew tired and hungry, and they complained to Moses, and they grumbled. But God showed them that God was with them in the desert by giving them quail, and manna to eat. When the people of God were thirsty from traveling in the desert, they once again complained to Moses. And Moses talked with God. And God told Moses to strike a rock with his staff. Water came out of the rock, so the people were able to drink. Now something happened that made God angry. Moses did not keep faith with God in the midst of the people. So God told Moses that he would see but never enter the promised land. The people were free, but they didn't know the best way to go. With God's help, Moses led the people to God's mountain, Mount Sinai, where God had spoken to him from the burning bush. And Moses went up the mountain to talk with God. The people waited and waited and waited. They waited a long time. They thought Moses wasn't coming back. And because they thought he was never coming back, they asked Aaron to make them a new god. So Aaron took all the gold the women were wearing and he melted it down, and he made a golden calf. And he gave the calf to the people and said, "Here, this is your new god." And the people built an altar and worshiped the golden calf. Moses came down from the mountain. His face was shining. And he carried the 10 best ways to live. But when he found the people worshiping the golden calf, he grew angry and he broke the tablets on which the 10 best ways were written. He took the golden calf and he threw it in the fire. People were sorry, so God gave Moses the 10 best ways again, and Moses gave them to the people. Then God told Moses to have the people make a box called an ark, the Ark of the Covenant, in which they could hold the 10 best ways to live. The box was covered with gold, and it had poles, so the people could carry it with them wherever they went. God told Moses how to make a tent called a tabernacle for the ark. And when the people stopped to rest in the wilderness, God's glory filled the tent, and Moses came close to God there. When he came out, his face was shining. After 40 years, they came to another mountain, Mount Nebo. Moses looked over at the promised land from the mountaintop, and God said, "I will give this land to the people of God, but you will not cross over." Moses died there, and to this day, no one knows where he is buried. I wonder which part of the story you liked best. I wonder which part of the story you think is most important. I wonder where you are in this story, or which part of the story is really about you. I wonder if we can leave any part out and still have all that we need for our story. Thank you for joining us today for the story of Moses. Now next week, we're going to have Family Worship Day. It's All Saints Day, and I hope you and your family will enjoy worshiping together. The week after that, we have elementary worship, And I'm so excited to share our worship leaders with you. Fifth graders are going to be leading us in worship. We'll have music and a special story. And then after that, we'll come back and we'll talk about the books of the Bible and godly play. I can't wait for you to join us.